Okay, so it's another one of these stuff and things videos. Oh my gosh, to be honest, I really haven't been in the mood to make this video. In fact, I've actually felt kind of lousy lately. See, the thing is, I found out that my imaginary friend, he's been seeing my imaginary girlfriend this whole time, and so I was really upset about this, and so I told my wife about this, and then she told me to shut up. So I'm just feeling really betrayed right now. So anyhow, let's get on with it. This is for all my fellow deplorable Russian bots out there. Okay, everyone, brace yourselves. Move over, Einstein, you total fraud. Get lost, Tesla, you hack. Take a hike, Max Planck. Here comes the greatest scientist of all. Dun dun dun. Original Yithian. He's got some bachelor degrees in science and claims to be a physicist, you know. Not only does he have everything figured out, but he's a superior modeler, too. Okay, so backstory. Several months ago, I made a video in support of InfoWars after they were deplatformed. And his comment was in response to that video, as you can see here. Now, I made the video at a time when I was actually becoming rather unhappy with InfoWars.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
However, I was far unhappier about seeing them censored and deplatformed. There's a lot more going on there than what it seems, but that's a different conversation for another time. From this point on, I'm not going to say original Yithian because I just can't be bothered. I'll just abbreviate his name to OY. Okay, I had to look it up what a Yithian is, and it's Lovecraft fiction. I've never gotten into Lovecraft, and the only Lovecraft thing I know is Cthulhu. So anyhow, OY said that he found my channel because he was looking for info on a model he had. And I suspected it was the Klingon kit because that seems to be gathering the most attention from crap weasels like him. But he said it was the Revell Silent Raider kit that I built. He said my modeling skills are inadequate and that there would be nothing for him to learn from anyways. So, whatever. Of course, you may have seen my Silent Raider kit and you probably saw how terrible it turned out, right? Yeah, it's utter trash. Alright, alas, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so in the end, I ended up blocking this guy because he didn't know when to quit. Little did I know that when you block someone, their comments are also deleted. So this screenshot is all that I have left of that conversation. I wish I had taken some more screenshots before blocking him, but I didn't know. I thought it was just going to prevent him from posting further, but I didn't know it was going to delete his whole thread. So, anyhow, as you can see here, his first comment on that video was celebrating Alex Jones getting simultaneously booted off from multiple platforms in an obviously coordinated effort to silence him. Why? Well, he deserves it because, Alex Jones, he spews nothing but bile and hate. Which, if you'd actually watch his show, you'd see that's not actually the case. If you want to Alex Jones 101. Check out both of those Joe Rogan podcasts. He's really interesting. So anyhow, yeah, bile and hate. Yet this guy, he spewed nothing but bile and hate, calling Alex Jones the disgusting person, and anyone who listens to him is also a complete moron, etc., etc. And gasp! Jones dares to discuss conspiracy theories. Oh, how dare you. So I told this guy, look, do yourself a favor and don't watch any of my videos ever again. And just get lost. So he responded about how ironic it was that I'd defend Jones against being deplatformed, and yet somehow by me telling him to take a hike, I was somehow deplatforming him. Keep in mind that this was well before I even blocked him, and even though I have blocked him now, I haven't pushed YouTube to delete his account or anything. That's stupid. His analogy is completely stupid. he's perfectly free to troll other people's channels. I just warned him that he wouldn't like any of my other videos if that was his attitude. So, yeah, I'm like, leave now and never come back.
Leave now and never come back.
So if you want the whole, the TLDR version and skip ahead, I'll just let Bill Maher explain exactly why this guy is such an insufferable crap weasel.
Let's talk about free speech for a minute, because Alex Jones, who is not my friend and who tells crazy lies about me, is thrown off Twitter, I think, and Facebook and a few other platforms. I think he's going to...
Thank God!
Well, if you're a liberal, you're supposed to be for free speech. That's free speech for the speech you hate. That's what free speech means. We're losing the thread of the concepts that are important to this country. Either you care about the real American shit or you don't. And if you do, it goes for every side. I don't like Alex Jones, but Alex Jones gets to speak. Everybody gets to speak.
Good point there, Bill Maher. Mr. Kid Love Productions. So, why did you name your production company Kid Love Productions? I really do not like Bill Maher, but sometimes he says stuff that's right. He's particularly accurate when he criticizes Islam. And it is refreshing to see a liberal criticize that abomination of human rights known as Islam. Now, he probably won't take the time on his show to talk about his $75,000 membership to the SNCTM Secret Sex Club, supposedly inspired by the movie Eyes Wide Shut. He probably won't explain the whole thing about the red shoes thing either. But he actually does have a very good point about how silencing people is not being a true liberal, despite all of his stupid NPC minions applauding the fact that people were being silenced. Denying services to people just because you disagree with their politics is stupid. And so this guy, OY, he seems to believe that Jones was banned for spreading conspiracy theories. Well, no, actually he was banned because he dared to confront CNN's Oliver Darcy, the man who was lobbying to have InfoWars deplatformed. All he did was talk to him on public property and confronted him and was banned off Twitter for it. Okay, so, OY, how would you like it if the power company refused service to you because of your politics? Or the airline refusing to let you fly because you don't fall in line with their so-called corporate values? Or the telephone company refusing to service you because of what you may have said over the phone? Or the bank closing your account because they just don't like you as a person? Is that exactly what is going on today due to the progressive left and their East German Stasi tactics, you loathsome cretin? The same thing is going on in China right now. You can't ride the train because you may have criticized the government or something or other on the internet. It is that bad. And guess who is developing the software to do all this? It's these disgusting tech giants, Silicon Valley. They are complete fascist. Look at their politics. They are ultra left wing. Okay, fascism, as I've said before, it is a left wing ideology. Yes, they were nationalists, but nationalism is not necessarily a right or left thing. Look at how many Marxists quickly became Nazis or fascists. Fascism and communism are competing ideologies, not opposing ideologies. So anyhow, I pointed out the real hypocrisy of deplatforming InfoWars is that Jones was kicked off social media, while these Islamic hate preachers are allowed to advocate the genocide of Jews and slicing off little girls' clits. And these moonbat SJWs who go around saying kill white people. They all get a pass in the name of diversity. This is what being a liberal means these days. Hate, murder, destruction. Okay, you can get away with it. Now, he actually agreed with me on this, yet the stupidity of this guy prevented him to realize that Alex Jones isn't going around advocating death and racism. Yeah, he goes on rants and tirades. I particularly loved it when he went off on Brian Stelter, the CNN guy, He was like, "You evil scum, Brian Stelter!" So yeah, he hands it up. It is entertainment. It's what gains viewership. He even admits it. He works himself up. He makes me laugh. Okay, so according to OY, what is so evil about Alex Jones? Well, he dared to talk about human-animal chimeras and dared to question the media narrative behind Sandy Hook. Oh, how horrible. This guy claims to despise spreading conspiracy theories, yet right on my YouTube channel, he was repeating the ridiculous conspiracy theory that Alex Jones has directed his listeners to harass Sandy Hook families. Yeah, that never happened, okay? You are guilty of a conspiracy theory now, Mr. Original Yithian. Yet look at what has recently happened with the Covington boys, who were the victim of the fake crisis actor Nathan Phillips, the professional agitator. The phony guy, he deceived people about his Vietnam veteran status. He got right in the boy's face, beating his drum within just like inches of the kid's face. And the boy showed great restraint and just smiled. Now all the liberals are like they want to kill him. Oh, how dare you criticize the Parkland shooter drama club kids? How dare you criticize them for what they are? They're just children. Oh my God, that boy is wearing a MAGA hat. Kill him now. Kill his full family. Burn down the school. Yeah, are we going to call this Smirkgate now? I don't know. But look at all the so-called liberals, the blue checkmark brigade on Twitter calling for the boys to be murdered, their parents to be murdered, the school to be burned down burned to the ground. And they all get a pass. Alex Jones was never once called out he never once called for violence against Sandy Hook crisis actors. Yet that is always used as a reason to censor him. It's total bullshit. So the conversation with OY continued. He claims to be a physicist. Okay, fine, I'll believe him that. Sure, okay, I'll believe that. He says that he has a few bachelor's degrees in science. Fine. But apparently now I am to believe that being a physicist makes him the ultimate knowledge on bioengineering? LOL. He even equated GMOs to nectarines, just crossbreeding. Yeah. You can mate a horse with a donkey to get a mule, okay? Ligers actually do exist, although unfortunately they are not bred for their skills in magic. But it's different. You can't even compare the two. You can't compare crossbreeding with GMOs. I will tell you this right now. Genetically modified organisms are an abomination to nature. A scorpion cannot make love to a tomato to make a scorpionado. Yet they can artificially alter the DNA of the tomato with the DNA of a scorpion venom to create a tomato with naturally occurring pesticide that you would be eating. You'd be literally eating a poisonous tomato. Oh, well, shoot, I don't want to eat that. Well, guess what? The biotech industry wants you to eat it anyways, and it doesn't want you to know about it. That's why they lobby the legislators so hard. Look up the Starlink corn scandal, and you will see that people have gotten very sick before from eating GMOs. The Frankenfish Atlantic salmon is a GMO salmon that got rushed to the market without proper testing. Don't buy Atlantic salmon. Anybody in North America, don't buy it. Okay? Or those Arctic apples that never go bad. What the hell? If it doesn't go bad, what the hell is with it? It's crazy. Totally crazy. So, yeah, the government requires GMO companies to do their own testing. And those companies expect the government to do the testing for them. So it's like playing hot potato. It's time for people to stop getting screwed over by corporations and take a stand. And this guy with a physics degree, again, LOL, essentially says that natural cross-pollination is the same as firing microscopic gold pellets coated with DNA with a gun into nuclei in order to create organisms that could never be naturally made because nature itself has made doing so completely impossible. That is what GMO stuff is. They have to resort to completely artificial means to create DNA sequences that should never exist to begin with. that whether you believe in God or Mother Nature or whatever, there are actual barriers to this actually happening. Okay? And the introduction of these alien proteins is what has triggered the allergy epidemic worldwide. I think the other half of that's probably the over-vaccination of people as well. It is being proved through science that our own DNA absorbs this alien monstrosity DNA. If nature itself has made the existence of these proteins physically impossible through natural means, think about it. Is it really a good idea to be eating this crap? Nature has locked the door to protect DNA from being altered, yet scientists are basically firing guns through the door or blowing it open with a bomb. Sorry to be crude, okay? But you can jerk off onto some fish eggs and you won't fertilize them to create half-human fish monsters. Nature prevents that. But in a laboratory, scientists can inject human DNA strands into animals. Now, I cannot vouch for the existence of any sentient, humanized fish, but I have adopted Socrates' philosophy of, I only know that I know nothing, as not only my approach to modeling, but my philosophy of life itself. They have injected mice's brains with human cells to boost their intelligence, and even back in the 1930s, they were grafting like a second dog's head onto the back of another dog. They can grow human organs on animals that have humanized, and they have humanized cows and pigs, okay? This much we know from what is made known to us. InfoWars goes into some pretty freaky subjects that other news dares not mention. And they explore the moral issues of these. Jones has talked of spider goats, which are genetically engineered goats modified with spider DNA, which puts silk in their milk in order for companies to make body armor. It's called BioSteel. Look it up. It's freaky shit. InfoWars and Natural News have raised the alarm to the existence of these abominations in the name of science, and the potential environmental havoc of creating these Frankenstein proteins that should never exist in the first place. But Mr. Original Yunthian is hung up over the idea of fish monsters existing and was wanting to argue gene splicing versus grafting. It may be apples and oranges, but they're still fruit. Okay? And he believes that anyone who tunes into InfoWars may as well believe in Santa Claus. He essentially said something to that effect. I told him that the genetically accepted science and technology we take for granted in our modern day is already old news, and we cannot imagine what secret technologies exist today that have not been made public knowledge. Well, he didn't like that and was calling me stupid because, he went to college and shit. His position was that stuff like time travel, faster than light travel, anti-gravity, parallel dimensions, etc., none of that will ever be accomplished because he's Mr. Science Man guy and all that. I have some college degrees, Oh my gosh. So he has this beef with Jones because he made mention of these human-fish hybrids, and therefore he is a complete liar, and nothing he says should be believed, and he deserves to be made the target of coordinated crony corporate censorship. Well, all I know is that the technology which we take for granted today is already old technology, like I mentioned before. I've mentioned on my channel before, my dad was working on the SR-71 Blackbird over 50 years ago, and how it was top secret at that time. It's faster than most anything else we have today, and yet it's old technology. His response to that was that, the Blackbird's usefulness is outdated due to the satellite spy technology. Well, I didn't bring up the Blackbird because of its purpose of spying, duh. I mention it to point out that its technology existed decades before it was released to the public. Actually, the X-15 is supposed to be the fastest plane ever made that we know of. And also, that was back in the 60s. So, you really think that they just stand around saying, well, we've got satellites and shit, so there's no point in making any craft that flies faster than stuff that we built in the 60s. Attacking stuff just because it's beyond your knowledge. Are you sure you're a scientist, Mr. Original Yithian? That is the very opposite of a scientific mind. Einstein theorized the fabric of space and time and the possibility of time travel. Oh, no, wait, everyone. Einstein was a fraud because there's some asshole on YouTube named Original Yithian who says it's all impossible. Look, he even typed into the YouTube comments section, so it's got to be legit. Forget about quantum physics. There will never 100% ever be any such thing as faster than light travel, time travel, teleportation, or life outside of Earth. Because Original Yithian says so. He has a science degree, you know. He also says I suck at modeling, so we should all just bow down and smooch his butt. What a pompous ass. But what's this? Here's an interesting article linking the Pentagon's black projects that were the result of a Freedom of Information request. Okay, let's look at this here. Nuclear-powered deep space propulsion, invisibility cloaking wormholes through space. NASA has engaged in serious studies on developing warp drive engines and investigating wormholes. Oh, wait, guys. Can't you see you're all wasting your time? Because there's some guy on YouTube who says that they may as well be investigating the Easter Bunny. Did I mention that he has some science degrees? Yeah, so all of this argument started because he assumed that I believe in fish monsters or something. While I no longer really watch InfoWars as often as I once did, I do sometimes enjoy it because they will report on the evils of the race-baiting progressive movement and their disgusting infatuation with eugenics. They will report on the Federal Reserve, vaccine injuries, medical kidnappings, genocide, the Islamic invasion and rape of Europe, government corruption, cover-ups, and other such scandals. And plenty of other stuff that never gets mentioned elsewhere, like Obama's weaponized IRS, the weaponized FBI, the weaponized DOJ, the weaponized CIA. You won't get info on that from watching fake news, CNN, or MSLSD. Fox News won't challenge the narrative on 9/11 or the JFK assassination. Plenty of evidence has shown that there is a lot more than what we were told, but since speculation falls into that horrible, forbidden category of conspiracy theory, then it must be automatically discounted, right? Oh, why? That's what science is all about. Ah, gosh. So, yeah. So, as I mentioned, the other big beef he has is that anybody would challenge the Sandy Hook official narrative. It doesn't matter if you think it's fake or not. Questioning the media should not be a crime outside of a totalitarian government. It's stupid. So, after Original Yithian had called me gullible, stupid, etc., he then insulted my modeling abilities, thinking that he was attacking what he perceived to be as a weak spot. Well, actually, no, it doesn't bother me. Go ahead and insult my modeling capabilities, you salacious, gutless keyboard commando. You jerks have zero modeling content of your own on YouTube to share, but you go around tearing others down because you think their skills aren't up to snuff. You supercilious, elitist pricks. So, only people who are extremely talented can share off their work to others? Yeah, so it's chicken shits like this guy that haven't got the guts to stick out their own neck by sharing their hobby with the YouTube community, uploading their own content to promote the hobby at all. So, yeah, while people like me, we have to bear the brunt of the slings and arrows from insufferable, condescending douche copiers. So, gosh, yeah, the guy was a total jerk. Oh, and by the way, though, here's one article talking about human-animal chimeras that are gestating on U.S. research farms. This article was in January 2016. This is MIT stuff. So this guy is so upset that anybody would claim that this exists, but yet this is actually published knowledge. It just shows what a stupid dickhead this guy is. Anyhow, let's move on. Mnuchin. 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 Okay, let's take a look at this. China lands spacecraft on dark side of the moon in the world's first. Interesting video. It shows like a couple of images and it cuts right to like computer simulated graphics, like animations. It's like, look, I just want to see the moon. What the hell is up with the moon? It's so weird. Like the back side of the moon, it never faces Earth. You'll never see it, right? There could be like a giant "kick me" sign stuck to the back of the moon, and we would never see it, right? So I was hoping to actually see like a whole bunch of pictures and video, but they just kind of skipped to some stupid animation. I just thought that was pretty stupid. Oh look, massive fire spotted on private island owned by billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. This is the guy who's the orgy island, the pedophile island, where there's some crazy temple with a big owl on it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the hell kind of ceremonies are being held there, or actually you might if you actually research that kind of stuff. Yeah, whew, massive fire. I wonder what was being burned. I wonder. Oh, okay. In January, Major Richard Dick Sherman, the last living member of Chenault's Flying Tigers, passes away at 96. He died January 9th, 2019. So he was the very last of the AVG group. Yeah. This was great. Yeah, CNN legal analyst accuses radio host David Webb of white privilege, except he's black. That was so funny. He's like, I hate to disappoint you, but I'm like black. Gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, Kamala Harris. She attacks Japanese culture during a radio interview and claiming it fosters toxic masculinity. Okay, Kamala Harris. Oh my gosh. Oh. So yeah, I think Japan probably needs to have a little bit more masculinity. You turn on the TV and you see these feminine wimps who are singers. You see like this obese man wearing a muumuu that passes himself off as a woman. Okay, you see these kids in schools, these boys with like high pitched voices, and you wonder if they're if their balls have descended or not. It's just sometimes you can't tell if they're a boy or a girl even. Yeah, look at the families and see absent fathers who leave everything up to their wives. Look at the workplace and you see pissy men who abuse their power. There's plenty of incel otaku too who've sworn off women in favor of their hobbies. There's just not enough masculinity here in Japan. Kamala Harris doesn't know what she's talking about. This was in response to the whole Gillette thing. Oh my gosh. And yeah, Gillette. I know, I'm sure you all already know about this stupid virtue signaling Gillette advertisement that insults its own customers. They completely conflated bad parenting with masculinity, and they ignore the fact that there are horrible mothers as well as horrible fathers who neglect to discipline their children. Everyone has already ripped this stupid ad to shreds, and rightfully so. The point I want to make here, though, and I mean, there's people who've, like, between Stefan Molyneux and Paul Joseph Watson, there's people who've really eloquently totally destroyed this narrative. But the point I want to make, though, is that there is no way that this stupid corporation could care less about social equality when their very existence as a company is contingent on exploiting people's insecurities of their God-given secondary sex characteristics and perpetuating false social mores of so-called hygiene. It's difficult to consider this company as a champion of social justice when so much blood is spilled from people using their products. Do you really think this company gives a crap about women? Maybe most people don't realize this. This is the company that charges women more for pink razors as opposed to blue razors. They are essentially the same product, but they make women pay more. And this is the company that practically wrote the book on body shaming. Okay, here's a bit of history. Gillette was the company over 100 years ago that started a psychological marketing campaign to convince women that they needed to shave their underarms. Men's beards are the same as their head hair. Okay? You know, our beards are going to continue to grow unless we cut it. Therefore, unless you want a beard on your face, you will have to shave it, okay? Men aren't told to shave their bodies, though, okay? But for women, Gillette had to nurture a sense of insecurity in women in order to sell them razors to begin with. But you may be saying to yourself, oh, well Steve, I mean, Greg, you fail to realize that the only cretinous miscreant women, feminazis, don't shave. Oh, okay, you mean like Sophia Loren? Sophia Loren didn't, she's got, I mean, check it out. I mean, she's beautiful. You got a problem with that? Well, that was a long time ago. Now only ugly, repulsive feminazis don't shave. Well, actually, that's not the case. And as with Coleridge here, but if you have a problem, you look at her, she's beautiful, okay? And you were like, well, this is disgusting. Well, you have to really kind of do some introspection here, okay? Stupid conservative media likes to perpetuate this stereotype that it's only like ugly women, I guess, that don't like shaving. I would have to say there are plenty of women who hate shaving, and they do not do so. But they keep it like a shameful secret so as not to be humiliated. Really, if Gillette were to be honest, they should change their marketing slogan to reflect their true ideology towards women. So here it is. There you go. Here is a marketing slogan to properly match the mindset they have promoted for over 100 years. Seriously, they don't give a crap about women. They just want their money. And any so-called feminist who thinks otherwise is deluding herself. Now, I'm not here to try to convince you to change your mind on your standards of beauty, but you have to realize that the reason why people think this way about women, and so many men will just profess to just love women to pieces, and then at the sight of a woman in her natural state, they just get all pissy and acted all disgusted and outraged. So the reason why they react that way is because of Gillette and what they've done. So, okay. So, oh yeah, check this out. So I commented on the Gillette video back in January and about the inclusion of the Moonbat Anna Kasparian in the commercial, stating that they forgot to include Anita Sarkeesian. that comment has over 800 likes by now. That's funny. So really, okay, so what am I getting at? Okay, really, I just do not like being told how to think. I do not like Gillette telling me to think that being masculine is bad. And I do not like Gillette telling women that they must deny their humanity and that their body in its natural state is disgusting. I personally cannot be bothered to shave my face more than twice a week, and cultural expectations for men are a lot less, so I just want to shed any double standards. So, yeah, corporations like Gillette can kiss my butt for all I care. And I guess that's all I really want to say about this. So, in the end, though, I believe this is a far healthier and more realistic expectation of beauty standards for human women than this. Okay, that's it. let's move on. Alright, check this out. GMO potato creator says he's concerned that his work may be negatively impacting human health. Too late, asshole. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, so you may have heard about this learn to code thing. Alright. So, okay, check this out. The Countering Disinformation and Propaganda Act was included in the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2017 that Obama signed. Okay, so it was signed before, when Obama was still president. It expired December 2018. So this bill literally created a ministry of truth, if you will, called the Global Engagement Center, working under the State Department under the BS excuse of countering Russian and Chinese propaganda, and authorized this group to collect records about any U.S. citizen it sees as spreading propaganda via social media. It also allowed the government to funnel funds to media companies like BuzzFeed. Thus, their unemployment, they're out of a job now because it expired. So this whole learn to code meme shows that they can be callous and indifferent to blue-collar workers losing their jobs, but they cannot tolerate being on the receiving end. Okay. Let's move on to February. Here's an article from Daily Torch, which is, I think is, in my opinion, it's a rather crappy conservative news website. Sprint T-Mobile will help bring 5G nationwide and transform the U.S. economy forever. Yeah. Except for the part of, like, birds falling out of the sky and the ability to basically just fry people with cancer. No, thank you. Yeah, 5G is very dangerous, and I'm completely against it. Speaking of stupid conservatives, here's CPAC that was held in February, and I would say that the really good people, they're not even invited to attend, I don't think. But instead you get like Sebastian Gorka. And I used to think this guy was kind of alright, but I listened to his speech, and it was like, oh, Israel good, Israel is our friend, and Russia is our enemy, Russia is terrible, Russia is and he was perpetuating the stupid, phony, fake news about Russia killing that defector, or whatever his name was, in England, with that gas. Yeah, total bullcrap. February, moving on. Argentine prostitute who accused Pope's friend of complicity in child sex trafficking found dead. Oh my. Yeah, okay. Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz. Secret emails about underage sex allegations will put prominent people in handcuffs. This, going back to Jeffrey Epstein, I guess if I remember right, Alan Dershowitz was his lawyer, and I think he was kind of a compromised guy, and now he seems to be kind of free, and he's talking about stuff. And Alan Dershowitz, yeah, he pushed back. It says here he pushed back against allegations that he had sex with underage girls through the billionaire convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. He has the dirt on the true bad guys, I think, and so I'm really interested in learning more about what he has to say. So, and there's this push to keep the Epstein case sealed, because there's some people who don't want that to come out, and they're scared because they will be implicated. I'm sure the Clintons are behind it too. Oprah Winfrey helped promote a mass rapist who ran a child slave farm. This is that John of God, and it's funny. There's a lot of people who are connected to this John of God guy. Pretty evil, pretty freaking evil crap. Hey, look at me! I can ride a skateboard. Hey, smile, sweetheart. He's lied to us multiple times before. What makes you think he'll lie to us again? Build that wall. Build that wall. How many of these disgusting infidels must we violently slaughter before they learn to accept our peaceful ways? Okay, so I've been saying all along that there was evidence of collusion even though there wasn't. But you gotta believe me. Trump's guilty. Meh. Also in February, actress found dead months after hinting at alleged pedophile ring. Wow. So, former Big Brother star has died under mysterious circumstances shortly after making explosive claims linking a number of celebrities to pedophilia. Argentinian-born Natasha Jate's naked body was found over the weekend following a house party in Buenos Aires. Yeah, so she actually predicted her own death months earlier after she died. And it said that in April of last year, the 41-year-old took to Twitter to claim her life was at risk after receiving unspecified threats. She said, "Warning, I am not going to commit suicide. I am not going to take too much cocaine and drown in a bath or shoot myself. So if this happens, it wasn't me. Save this tweet," she wrote in Spanish, according to the Buenos Aires Times. Guys, this is what Pizzagate is all about. Okay? Disregard whatever you saw in the stupid news about that fake shooting at that pizza place. This is what Pizzagate is really all about. Okay? Alright, let's move on to March. HPV vaccine narrative unravels in Japan as it's revealed the shot causes long-term pain, but Big Pharma says it's just psychosomatic. The HPV vaccine really ruins women's lives. Now, HPV is the virus that is it's what causes cervical cancer. Now, if you only have sex with one person for the rest of your life and that person remains faithful to you, a woman is not going to catch HPV. Okay, this is the virus that causes cervical cancer. And it is entirely preventable. But anyhow, they came up with a vaccine for it, and it has totally ruined women's lives. Okay, March, Daily Beast. Gambino mob boss shooting suspect was radicalized by QAnon. The far right. Even Trump, lawyer says. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm just guessing at how this goes down. Okay, the guy's gonna get sentenced, and they say, "Hey, we want you to flash a Q on your hand." And the guy's like, "Well, what's that about?" "Oh, it's about QAnon." "Oh, what's QAnon?" "Look, just do it, and we'll see if we can get you off the hook later." "Alright, fine, grab me that marker." That's basically, I'm sure that's what happened here, okay? This is a bunch of crap. 9/11 investigation. Okay, so the AE 9/11 Truth org. This is Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. Hey, do you think you might be the only one if you doubt the narrative on 9/11? You're seeing those skyscrapers just magically fall down like that after having supposedly airplanes crash into them? It kind of defies the laws of physics, doesn't it? Well, actually, there are thousands of architects who agree with you. So, this article on their website, Lawyers Committee names names in new 9/11 grand jury filing. This article is March 12th. Today, the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, with whom AE 9/11 Truth has partnered in our ongoing grand jury investigation project, announces the filing of a petition supplement naming persons who may have information material to the federal grand jury investigation of the World Trade Center's explosive demolition on September 11th, 2001. The 33-page document contains 15 different categories of persons who may have information material to the investigation, including contractors, security companies that had access to the World Trade Center towers before 9/11, persons and entities who benefited financially from the World Trade Center demolitions, and persons arrested after being observed celebrating the World Trade Center attacks. Interesting. There's this also, this might be referring to, there's these eyewitness reports of these dancing Israelis when the 9/11 happened. These people, they saw these Israeli guys that were dancing for joy on a rooftop. They were caught doing so. That might have something to do with it. And of course that's gonna feed the, oh, all Jewish people are out to kill the world or whatever kind of people. But yeah, very, very interesting. So in the lawyer's cover letter to the U.S. attorney, the group indicated that it will consider filing a mandamus action to compel the U.S. attorney to perform its duty to present the group's 2018 petition to a federal grand jury if the U.S. attorney does not respond to earlier inquiries regarding the status of the grand jury proceeding. Well, I really hope something comes from this.
I love Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson is the greatest filmmaker of our time. Kathleen Kennedy is the greatest producer to ever live. Kathleen Kennedy is such a great leader for Star Wars. I am gay. I love the penis. The penis loves me.
Shoot at Earth all you want. Just get Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention in January, there was that parade in Italy with the God Emperor Trump float. This is so incredibly cool. This is one of those epic memes from the Chan boards brought to life in all its glory. I mean, look at this. Even his eyes move back and forth. This is so cool. So cool. So yeah, this is from January. Oh, and there's this whole zombie deer disease that suddenly it's now a thing. I suppose we were meant to believe that this is all to blame on some bullcrap like global warming or something. Could it be that this some sort of test blueprint for humanity? I mean, we're constantly being confronted with all sorts of scary viruses to intimidate us. AIDS, hantavirus, SARS, Ebola, Zika, the list goes on and on. Supposedly, these just come out from nowhere, and scientists are all like, golly gee, where'd this come from? Could it be that at least some of these are deliberately engineered? Well, check this out. No longer a conspiracy theory. Dun dun dun. MIT scientists confirm they possess technology to beam voices into your head. Oh wow, isn't that neat? Gosh, well, I'm pretty sure that nobody would ever think to use this technology for some sinister, nefarious purposes, right? Yeah, right. And speaking of conspiracy theories being proven correct, being proven that they are real, you know, in 2018, I made this the year in the review, and I showed how fake the Syria gas attack crap was, and with showing the kids practicing a gas attack at a school, you know, making the kids twitch their legs and wiping foam on their mouths from an aerosol can, pretending to do CPR on them, etc. Well, I was right. So in February, it was admitted that the gas attack in Syria was staged, as admitted by the BBC producer responsible for the fake news. There were no gas attack fatalities, and the scene at the hospital was staged. He admitted this. So Russia weighed in with a "see, we told you so" response. It was a false flag. Fake news. The guy finally admitted it. So score one for us so-called crazy conspiracy theorists. Oh my gosh. And so then there's this Jesse Smollett crap. Do you know the way to mega country? Oh no, those guys must be white nationalists because that's totally a thing now, you know. Oh, and what's this? A noose. Oh no, they're gonna hang me because that's totally what racists do these days. What an idiot. So you can see clips of the screeching morons on CNN who equate red MAGA hats to KKK hoods. And this just really just pisses all over the memories of the real people who were actually hurt by the Klan. The Klan not only hung black people, but plenty of Republicans as well. Oh no, but Trump is a racist. David Duke even endorsed him.
Let me ask you right off the bat, have you endorsed Donald Trump for the Republican presidential nomination?
Actually, I have not formally endorsed him, and I've made specifically, and every time I've talked about this on my radio program, I specifically said that I'm not endorsing him.
Oh yeah, never mind. So, check out this article. The first two lines of this article says everything. We lost Great Britain, folks. She had a great run, but she's gone. And so even with the recent elections strengthening the resolve for Brexit, there's really no hope for England, it seems, at this point. The only hope for Europe is to enact the policies of Geert Wilders, however you say his name, and completely eliminate Islam from their countries. But that would be so extremely politically incorrect that there would be too much of a pushback against enforcing it. So globalists have allowed European countries to become flooded with Muslim immigrants for far too many decades, and the damage done, it's irreversible by now. I hate to say it, but unless they are all expelled somehow, and it's really terrible to even think about it, but that's the only way, really. Unless that happens, these countries will continue to degenerate. Paris is already a trashy cesspool, as is London. You know, people are fighting back with the yellow vests in Paris, but I would not feel safe visiting Paris or London at all. It has nothing to do with skin color. Nothing to do with skin color, but everything to do with an ideology that is completely incompatible with freedom, safety, and human dignity. If Islam is so peaceful, then why are the Muslim majority areas of Europe the most dangerous to visit? And why have they become no-go zones? And here's the thing, Islam cannot withstand the slightest scrutiny of theology, philosophy, history, archaeology, physiology, or anthropology. So it is our duty to scrutinize and challenge it. The Quran is not only full of hate speech and commands of perpetual violence and genocide against unbelievers, but it's also full of inconsistencies, contradictions, scientific errors, and blatant absurdities. The religion itself is incredibly ridiculous. It's hard to even think of it just... It's hard to take it seriously. I mean, if it wasn't so dangerous, it's completely historically and archaeologically inaccurate. And it is an insult to human rights. Muslims are questioning and abandoning their religion in droves. Those who argue with us online are often doing so because they are scared to leave their death cult. And they're really questioning themselves. And they're mostly trying to prove to themselves that Islam is correct and that we are wrong. But Islam is imploding, just as the political left is across this world. All they could do is resort to violence to try to silence logic and reason. But if tech companies continue to prevent us from criticizing this oppressive ideology of hatred, they are only enforcing Sharia law that dictates that Islam must not be criticized, and it protects their dangerous ideals from criticism. So the minions of Mordor are overcoming Minnesota. They're overwhelming Minnesota, voting them into the U.S. legislature. Oh, and also, of course, in Dearborn, Michigan, and such. There's been quite an uproar over Ilhan Omar's statements over lawmakers' possible allegiances to Israel. She's been accused of anti-Semitism. Democrats seem to be torn between wanting to denounce anti-Semitism and wanting to defend their fellow Democrat who is a precious Muslim. Oh, and she's a woman too, on top of that. So, I've only recently learned that there is a number of elected lawmakers who hold dual citizenship with Israel. Now, I am not anti-Israel, however, I do not appreciate Israel putting their nose into America's business. Or anyone's business, really. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I think one can make a stance against Israel and not be anti-Semitic. Just last December, my dad confirmed to me that I am part Jewish on my mom's side of the family. I do not know how far back it goes, but I think it's safe to say that I am more Jewish than Elizabeth Warren is Native American, especially because it's actually traceable. So I personally think Palestine can just take a hike, and I defend Israel's right to exist as a nation. And actually, Palestinians living in Israel under Israel's rules are better off than outside of Israel. But as far as Omar goes, if that villainous cretin actually was going to take a stance on criticizing Israel's influence over America's politics and goading America into fighting their wars for them, then I can respect that. But no. Her anti-Israel crap comes from her Muslim viewpoint of Jews being, quote, the descendants of apes and pigs. And that racist BS that is the result of her indoctrination into her depraved caveman genocidal death cult invented by a disgusting child-raping psychopath. And can we similarly question the loyalties of her colleague Rashida Tlaib, who obviously places her homeland of Palestine over the U.S.? But about Omar's 9/11 comment about some people did something, she is right. Some people did do something. Okay, moving into March. Here is something that is very politically incorrect to say, but political correctness does not have science on its side. Check this out. Cross-sex trans hormone treatments are ruining people's lives. Heart disease, cardiovascular damage, and deep vein clots, among other horrific side effects. Yeah. California now tops the list as the least educated state in America. New data from the Census Bureau shows that California is the least educated state in the nation, boasting the highest number of adults aged 25 and older who have never finished 9th grade, and the lowest number of high school graduates overall. Oh gee, maybe they just need to spend more money to fix the problem. Yeah, that'll do the trick. Raise taxes while you're at it too, idiots. Yeah, just like the skyrocketing number of homeless people in California. Whoa, gee, all these homeless people. Well, I know what, we should raise taxes to help them. Yeah, that won't create more homeless people. No, just keep raising taxes. Just throw money at all your problems. Okay. March. So, here's where things get really weird. I most likely lost most of my audience in this video when I started ranting about shaving and the pointlessness of women shaving, but whatever. So, yeah, actually, that reminds me, like, a while back, it was in the winter, I was watching the female figure skating competition when my wife had it on TV, and there was this one woman, this one skater, she raised her arms up at the end, and I could see the razor burn and the ingrown hairs on her underarm. I'm like, oh gosh, why is it so controversial to say that people should just be content with the way God made them? Well, the answer is simple. There is no money in that. Okay, so for those of you who are still around in this video, springtime, this is where things get weird. Let's start with that New Zealand shooting, which the shooter himself had admitted that it was purposely a false flag intended to initiate further conflict. So this is a very interesting article. The government's response to the shooting is raising even more red flags than the shooting itself. Really, this New Zealand shooter makes no sense. He's visited North Korea, Pakistan, Turkey, writes memes in Serbian. He's an Australian and living in New Zealand. He writes mostly about political figures in the United States and focuses most of his attention on the USA. He even claimed that Candace Owens is more extreme than himself. Yeah, how dare he talk about my imaginary girlfriend like that? So the statement itself, it's totally absurd. Candace Owens is an angel. Totally nonviolent, right? But yet idiots still took the bait and gave her crap for it. Again, liberalism is a mental disorder. Crazy. So, I watched the full shooting, the New Zealand shooting. It was on a regular video site. I guess I shouldn't say where I saw it from. I mean, if you're in New Zealand, you're probably going to get in trouble for watching it. But it's, for where I live, nothing illegal. There's no dark web or anything like that. And I watched the New Zealand shooting video, the full thing. And I have to say, I have seen driver's ed videos that were more gruesome than this. Like, I have watched videos of, like, ISIS, decapitating women in the streets of Syria. That was pretty brutal. Or I've watched the Muslims in Iran injecting dogs with acid, and the dogs are just screaming in pain, and I couldn't even finish it. And I've seen the John Podesta child abuse video that I have alluded to in the past in my videos. Very difficult to watch, even though that John Podesta video was it was all audio only, right? You couldn't really even see anything. But so here we have this New Zealand shooter. I watched the guy walk into a room with people huddling together. They made no attempt at escaping, not even trying to jump out the window, and he just shot them all. No blood, no poofs of disintegrated sheetrock and concrete as bullets hit the walls. No, I didn't see that. Most of all, the bullet shells disappear into thin air. If you've seen the video, watch the part where he's standing on the sidewalk and he's firing his rifle down the street. People have zoomed in and slowed down the footage, and you can see the brass dematerialize into thin air. You don't hear the plink as they hit the sidewalk or anything like that. They just evaporate. It's weird. Okay? Now, I thought maybe I could include this in this video, but I have seen such videos get taken down from YouTube for claims of its supposed violent content. But the clip shows only the rifle firing in one video I saw, and you can't even see anybody getting hurt. But yet that video was taken down. So I'm not even going to bother trying to include that footage in this video. So this would lead you to believe that the ejected brass could possibly have been digitally inserted into the footage, with some sort of green screen involved. Green screen. And I saw someone on Gab who reported that the gunshots, the sounds seem to have been inserted digitally as well. So this really begs the question of what really transpired. I cannot say that nobody was actually killed, but the video that I saw was highly suspicious. Plus, the shooter himself confessed in his manifesto that his actions were to stage a false flag to increase tensions between Muslims and the West. Now, whatever happened, we are being lied to, and the video is demonstrably fake. So you can mention Alex Jones on Facebook and you can get instantly banned. But this guy was able to live stream his supposed live shooting of a supposed massacre for like 16 or 17 minutes before it was actually cut off. Really? People in New Zealand can get in trouble for actually possessing the video. So if you live there, I really would not recommend tracking it down. But from what I saw, we are being lied to about this event. And furthermore, the guy posted pictures of his weapons before the shooting on Twitter. Now, somebody on Gab pointed out that the black sun symbol was seen in one picture. Now, this is the symbol of the Vril Society. And, guys, this is where it gets really weird. This led me researching a bit on the Thule and Vril, or is it Tool? Thule. I think it's Tool, the Tool and Vril societies. And holy crap, guys, that rabbit hole goes deep. And it basically leads right to the whole Illuminati thing, which too many people do not want to admit is real. Now, I used to not believe in the whole Illuminati thing, but it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. The Illuminati believes in themselves, and that is the problem. So, it says here that the Vril group rose in prominence and united three major societies. The Lords of the Black Stone, weird, huh? Having emerged from the Teutonic Order in 1917, the Black Knights of the Thule Society, and the Black Sun, later identified as the elite of Heinrich Himmler's SS. Now you can see this Black Sun symbol even looks like a swastika. So whereas the Thule Society ended up focusing primarily upon materialistic and political agendas, the Vril Society put its attention on the other side. Weird. The article here goes on to say that a medium named Maria Orisic received messages from a being from the Aldebaran star system, which supposedly is where the Aryan race originates. Weird stuff, man. Yes, the Aldebaran. There is a carrier ship in Yamato 2202 called the Aldebaran, and yeah, weird. And you can look up Maria Orisic yourself on Wikipedia. This talk of channeling entities from distant star systems that reveal knowledge to humans, it runs very close to the kind of stuff that Alex Jones has discussed at length on the Joe Rogan podcasts. This is the stuff regarding the inception of the Nazi Party, and it gets pretty weird. Okay, the Hitler just didn't come out of nowhere. Okay, I would recommend doing your own research on this kind of stuff. Oh yeah, and the black sun is also used as a symbol by the Church of Satan. Well, isn't that nice? Yeah, the same Church of Satan that Chelsea Clinton had wished a Happy New Year to on Twitter. I think I mentioned that in my last year's video. Now, whether you pursue this research on your own or not, just know that Nazism just didn't spring out of nowhere. It was funded by the likes of the Bush family and supported by corporations such as IBM, DuPont, and Bayer. And this shooting event happens just a few days after Skippy Podesta, John Podesta, visits New Zealand. and happens right before the stroke transcripts were released, saying how the Department of Justice told the FBI to back off of Hillary. Yeah, well, isn't that a coincidence? And speaking of Podesta, have you ever noticed how similar he looks to Lawrence Rockefeller, the UFO guy? What was Podesta doing in Antarctica anyways? And have you noticed how similar he looks to Chester Bennington, the guy from the band Linkin Park who supposedly committed suicide after his friend Chris Cornell also supposedly committed suicide, and that they were both fighting to expose a pedophile sex trafficking ring? Say, did you know that there's a place in Canada called Linkin Park? It was there where Canadian Royal Air Force experimented on kids with MK Ultra mind control in 1958. Huh. And while we're at it, did you know that 14 years before the Titanic sunk, there was a novel written by a man named Morgan Robertson called The Wreck of Titan, which is about a luxury liner deemed unsinkable that was going too fast in the North Atlantic in April and hit an iceberg, killing most everyone on board due to a lack of lifeboats? Pretty weird, right? Oh, and the author was poisoned to death not long after the actual Titanic sank, and he was found dead in a hotel room. Oh yeah, and J.J. Astor, Benjamin Guggenheim, and Isa Strauss, along with others who were opposed to the creation of the Federal Reserve, they all died on the Titanic when it sank. They were invited on the cruise ship by J.P. Morgan, who backed the establishment of the Federal Reserve. So did the Rockefellers, right? Morgan was scheduled to join them on the cruise, but backed out of it at the last minute, leaving the other kingmakers to die on the luxury liner that was deemed unsinkable, that was going too fast in the North Atlantic in April, and hit an iceberg, killing most everybody on board due to a lack of lifeboats. Coincidentally, the Federal Reserve was established the next year. It all sounds ridiculous until you look it up for yourself. Okay, now it's moving on to April. So, the Mueller report was finally released. And what did they find on Trump?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
Yeah, didn't think so. For those of us who follow Q, this came as no surprise. All of the conservative pundits saying what a crook Mueller, and how he could indict a ham sandwich, and they were getting everyone riled up. I knew nothing would come out of this. I knew it. Now check this out. Yeah, measles-infected baby photos faked by NBC News. It's a fake stock photo. So this is the original stock photo of the baby, okay? It's just a regular stock photo. Now this is the doctored photo. Okay? And then here you can see where the patterns are replicated. Alright? They did such a lazy Photoshop job that you could see the same splotches repeated on the baby's body. Oh wait, what's this? Oh no, Lester Holt. Now Lester Holt has measles. Oh no, Lester. Measles is like the most deadliest disease ever, or at least we're made to believe so. Oh no. Hang in there, Lester Holt. Oh no, we need you to lie to us. What do we do without you? Okay. Then, in April, the Notre Dame fire happened, and look at this guy. Look at this clown here. The videos that were released showing people walking around when they shouldn't have been there. One video recorded from a webcam shows a man starting a fire even. And another video, this one video here, shows what appears to be a bearded man wearing Muslim garb walking around in one of the towers. Now I showed this to my Saudi friend, and he said that the clothing looks kind of Eastern, like he's from Pakistan or something. So And look at this article here. Wood doesn't burn like that. Okay? Former Notre Dame chief architect says ancient oak doesn't burn like that. I mean, 800 years, it starts to petrify. It's not young wood, okay? It doesn't just whoosh, it doesn't just burst into fire like that. Something else, French journalists said 2 churches in France are vandalized every day and no one gives a fuck. But yet, you know, if a mosque is vandalized, then oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, so recently released statistics show that there were 1,062 anti-Christian acts in 2018 compared to just 100 anti-Muslim acts. Throughout 2018, no less than 875 churches in France were targeted. So here is, I'm going to show you a video from one of my favorite YouTubers, Where We Go in One, We Go All. He covers Q and such. Some of the stuff he touches on I don't really agree with, but he does some really interesting research. Check out this video here.
So now it's been a little over a week since the Notre Dame fire. I thought it would be good to take a step back and look at all the evidence as a whole and see what we can derive from that. Now, the first thing I like to think about when contemplating if something was a planned attack is what else is happening today? What's going on in the world right now? Now, first off, just an hour before, you had the announcement that the full Mueller report would be released that Thursday. Also, as the fire was going on, there was a mosque burning in Jerusalem. And starting that week was jury selection for the NXIVM trial. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to cover the NXIVM trial. There's only a sex cult tied to human trafficking, a TV star, a billionaire heiress, and Senator Gillibrand. But there are a lot of things going on these days. So that's not necessarily indicative of any sort of cover-up or distraction. So let's look at the actual fire itself. Now, first, in broad terms, anything going on around that time suspicious? Well, not a week earlier, Muslims were arrested trying to bomb the cathedral. Now, let's look statistically. How likely is this? Well, in 2018, there were 1,063 attacks on Christians. And also in 2018, 875 Catholic churches in France were vandalized by radical secularists and Muslims. So statistically, it's almost 100% likely that this was done by radical Islam. Going by the numbers, it would actually be really surprising if this was an accident. But, you know, accidents do happen, absolutely. Nothing's ever 100% certain. So now let's look at the former Notre Dame chief architect, probably one of a handful of people, the most qualified people to actually talk on this and give their opinion. According to him, ancient oak doesn't burn like this, making it extremely unlikely to have just sparked out of nowhere. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Du chêne qui a 800 ans, c'est très dur. Essayer d'en faire brûler, enfin moi j'ai jamais essayé, mais du vieux chêne, c'est pas évident du tout. Il faut mettre beaucoup de petits bois pour y arriver.
Alright, so you would need a lot of kindling to succeed. So someone would have had to set this up, he's saying. That's what the chief architect, the former chief architect of this place specifically, is telling us. So that goes right in the face of the main narrative, which is that it was an electrical short that started the blaze. And let's see what he has to say about that specific narrative.
Moi, je me perds en conjecture. Vous savez, on a fait à Notre-Dame, juste avant que je prenne ma retraite, c'est-à-dire dans les années 2010, on a remis à plat toute l'installation électrique de Notre-Dame. Donc, il n'y a pas de possibilité de court-circuit.
Right, so, according to him, all the wiring was just redone 20 years ago. An 800-year-old oak doesn't even burn like that. It is horrible to burn. But what do the current workers have to say about this? Here, Time columnist Christopher J. Hale tweeted, Quote, a Jesuit friend in Paris who works in Notre Dame told me cathedral staff said the fire was intentionally set. This is the actual staff saying that it was deliberately started. Okay, well now we actually have video evidence that they were telling the truth. Here's a security cam of a man on the roof, and if you could watch, you can see sparks coming out. Now here's a better angle that's a little clearer, and you can see this same man, and you can see him sparking things right before this started. And also, while the fire was going, someone took video of a Muslim man walking around the church. And if this wasn't obvious enough, 4 days before the Notre Dame Cathedral caught on fire, 16 priceless statues were removed from the top. I mean, okay, so you got the chief former architect saying you can't even burn oak like that unless you load it up with kindling, or saying they just redone the wiring so it wasn't an electrical spark. The current workers are saying that it was definitely deliberately set. You have video of a man on the roof making sparks before the fire was set. You have another video of a Muslim walking around while it's going off. 2 Muslims were caught trying to bomb it a week earlier, and 4 days before it started, they removed all the priceless statues from it. I mean, like, could they be any more obvious about this? Like, holy shit. You would think they'd be good at these things by now. Right, so now we can say for sure the statistics were right. The statistics say that it is almost 100% chance that this was started by a radical Islamist, and it clearly was. But now let's take it a step further. Who's pulling radical Islam's strings? The global cabal. That's why they're always around right before these things happen. That's why Podesta was in New Zealand right before that horrible shooting. And who was in France right as this was going down? Michael Robinson. Here's him sipping champagne as he watches the smoke from the Notre Dame Cathedral fire. You could actually see a reflection in the glass. It's sickening. Another little known fact about the Notre Dame Cathedral, it's known affectionately as the Forest, which makes this tweet from James Comey a couple weeks earlier very ominous. Standing in a forest, so many questions. They say they couldn't have planned this that far back in the end of March. Well, what's the other thing I always tell you to look for when trying to determine if something was staged? When were the articles written? Take a look at what this person found.
Notre Dame fire, custom search. See what we come up with, shall we? Oh, look at that. April 9th, right? What's this one? April 13th, April 15th, April 11th. But this one's even juicier down here. March 29th. March 29th, this fucking article was written.
So now you see 800-year churches don't just miraculously go up in flames in the start of Holy Week. And what did they have in store for the end of Holy Week? Well, here, only a couple days before Easter, a man was caught with 2 gas cans entering St. Patrick's Cathedral. Wow. And of course, here's CNN, in the same story. A man was arrested with gas cans and lighters at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. It's hard to say exactly what his intentions were. Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one. Don't hurt yourself, CNN. Listen, we got this one, all right? They're just so obvious about it. It's like they don't even care anymore. They know they don't even have to try with their side. I mean, it's fucking concerning. There is just a large part of the public that goes with whatever they say. They know that they could just say anything they want, and everyone will go with it. But you know what? I'm going to help you out, CNN. You know what their intentions were for St. Patrick's Cathedral? This was their intentions.
For Catholics, it is a source of pride for all Parisians. And to see that spire fall is something we never thought, I certainly never thought I would ever see anything like this.
And make no mistake, neither of these 2 instances were random occurrences. Where we go one, we go all.
Workers preparing to clean up a fuel storage site near the infamous Dozier Reform School, Florida's first juvenile justice institution, discovered something far worse than pollution. Evidence of more than 24 clandestine child graves was discovered as workers tested the ground. There were evidence that the children were tortured and raped. Shockingly, though, this is the second time secret graves for tortured and raped children have been found nearby the school. I'm telling you guys, Pizzagate is real. This is Pedogate. This has been going on for quite a long time, and the elites are behind it. People don't want to... Talking with people just do not... They are not ready to accept how evil people are. Okay? If people... They don't want to... You know, their little comfort zone is like, oh, you know, good and evil is... It's all relative, and, you know... blah blah blah. And then when confronted with absolute evil, people don't want to accept the acceptance of absolute evil, because if they do that, they have to accept that there is absolute good, and that pushes people way into a zone that is not comfortable for them. So yeah, April is weird. And speaking of April, gosh, I sure love WikiLeaks. In December 2015, a plan was devised to, quote, slaughter Donald Trump, end quote, by linking him to Vladimir Putin and Russia. This is before anything happened, okay? John Podesta was the key player behind the scheme. Funny how many interesting things you learn from Podesta's emails. You thought there was nothing more to them than spirit cooking pizza and hot dogs and pasta and all that stuff, right? Well, let's delve deeper, shall we? Okay, April, this is weird. This is weird. Alright, so in April, Kevin, who is a commenter on a lot of my videos, he left a comment on one of my videos that was rather weird. But when I started looking into it, guess what? It had me looking at WikiLeaks again. And this is interesting. Check this out. Okay. Apparently, there was an actual secret moon base, and it was attacked by the Soviets. Pew, 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 war in space. Sounds science fiction-y, doesn't it? Oh my gosh. Yeah, so, and this is like unclassified stuff. Okay, this isn't even like classified or anything. This is unclassified. But apparently it's on microfilm, I guess. So I guess this is where a Freedom of Information Act, and I assume that this has been requested already. So I guess this proves once and for all that we did go to the moon, regardless of whether the footage of the moon landing was faked or not. And despite what that one NASA bozo said in an interview about how the technology to go to the moon was somehow lost. Yeah, seriously, he said that. Come on, they put men in space and like all the way to the moon using slide rules, okay? And somehow that technology has been somehow lost or whatever. Yeah, right. But check this out. This article here, it mentions a few emails from the Podesta email dump on WikiLeaks. So check out this email sent to Podesta from Dr. Edgar Mitchell, the Apollo 14 astronaut and sixth man to walk on the moon. It reads, Dear John, because of the war in space is heating up, I felt you should be aware of several factors as you and I schedule our Skype talk. Remember, our nonviolent ETI from the contiguous universe are helping us bring 0-point energy to Earth. They will not tolerate any forms of military violence on Earth or in space. Okay, now hold up. Alright, what is an ETI? It stands for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. That's like aliens and stuff, okay? And notice that this ETI is from the, quote, contiguous universe, end quote. It doesn't say the non-violent ETI from Mars, or the non-violent ETI from Alpha Centauri, or the non-violent ETI from Nebula M78. No, it says the contiguous universe, not galaxy, but universe. Contiguous meaning adjacent, verging, sharing a border, etc. Okay, this is what Alex Jones is talking about when he mentions global elites consulting with beings from a parallel dimension. Now keep in mind that when Hillary's leaked emails, which talk of how stupid black people are for their voting, and of sacrificing children in the backyard to the ancient Canaanite deity of child sacrifice Moloch, or Podesta's emails about Obama flying in $65,000 worth of, quote, pizza and hot dogs, yeah right, to the White House from Chicago, or even the wet works, assassination, slang, about the same time Justice Scalia died under extremely suspicious circumstances. These people have never said anything like, hey, I never wrote these emails. They're all fake. Oh, what's this about child sacrifice and sex with kids? I'm not into that. Somebody must have written these hundreds of thousands of emails and fabricated them out of thin air. No, they have never claimed that the emails are fake. They just say that the emails are incredibly boring and that nobody should read them lest they get bored. So they're scared of what you might read. Now, for all my life, I never really believed in UFOs and aliens and such. I loved X-Files. I've got the whole original show on DVD, even the movie. Even the second movie, which really wasn't that great, I don't think, but whatever. So I would argue with my wife about how none of it was real. To be honest, though, there is just so much disinformation out there that normal people may know what Area 51 is, but they do not know who Bob Lazar is. Recently, I've had to do a lot of reconsidering on this topic. So this article also speaks of Colonel Ross Dedrickson, a whistleblower who told of when it was tried to park some nukes in space, only for extraterrestrials to destroy them. Makes you think twice about the whole Space Force plan and why Democrats are so opposed to it, doesn't it? So what does Trump know? Interesting. All I know is that the Space Force already exists, and he's just making it public. The secret space program, you can look that up. So, also, what the heck is 0-point energy that these aliens from parallel dimensions want to give us? So I had to look it up. Check this out. Apparently it is the holy grail of energy supply. Reading about this really made me want to laugh even harder at the whole stupid windmill crap. Or in the solar farms and all that. So the article says, 0-point energy, also known as ground state energy, could be the greatest gift the quantum world can ever give us. It's a byproduct of the fact that subatomic particles don't really behave like single particles, but like waves constantly flitting between different energy states. This means that even the seemingly empty vacuum of space is actually a roiling sea of virtual particles fluctuating in and out of existence, and all those fluctuations require energy. Is this ether? I don't know. But this is pretty much unlimited power potential. Oh, hey, wait, quantum physics? Gee, that's interesting because there's this guy on YouTube named Original Yinthian who claimed to be the definitive expert on the matter, and he said quantum physics is a bunch of bunk. Anyhow, here's another of Skippy Podesta's emails. So, this email is from Terry Mansfield, and this is her website. Okay, she says, please let me know ASAP when John, that's the, John Podesta, can talk with Edgar. And Edgar, again, that's the astronaut I mentioned before. Dr. Edgar Mitchell. Yeah, that's his name, Dr. Edgar Mitchell. Okay, so please let me know ASAP when John can talk with Edgar and me by Skype about disclosure and the difference between our contiguous universe nonviolent ETIs and the celestials in our own universe. Wait, Celestials in our own universe? You mean like Thor? Like the Asgardians or like Star Trek entities? WTF. Now, do you see why they try to dissuade everyone from reading the emails on WikiLeaks? Holy crap. So, I look up a previous email quoted below this. The same message reads, I write on behalf of Dr. Mitchell to request your Skype talk with him ASAP regarding disclosure and the difference between celestials in our own solar system and their restraint by those from the non-violent contiguous universe. Edgar recently closed Quantrek due to health reasons. His talk with you, John, is of great importance given the alternative of your not being aware of these key distinctions heralding either intergalactic warfare or peace. Oh gosh. It is also imperative that after your talk with Edgar, that he speaks directly with President Obama via Skype for historical purposes about the same issue while the president is still in office. Oh my gosh, this is weird. In the month of May, we learned just how evil corporate America can be. This is a news article on naturalnews.com. Bombshell. Bayer discovers Black Ops division run by Monsanto, shuts it down, initiates internal investigation as law enforcement prepares criminal charges against the chemical giant. Now, in case you are living under a rock, Monsanto is the company behind genetically modified organisms like the GMO corn and potatoes and a whole bunch of stuff. And as well as Frankenstein salmon. Oh, actually, no, I think that was a different company. But anyhow, they are the world's leading manufacturer of genetically modified vegetables and such, and they are attempting to own a complete monopoly on seeds over the entire world. At least that's what their aim is. Monsanto is the reason why I became lactose intolerant when I was a teenager, and if I even drank anything milk related, I could be, bedridden for like several days, and just constantly on the toilet. And that's unfortunately that kind of led me to being a soy boy for a while, and drinking soy milk instead, and which also caused more problems. So yeah, I definitely have a bone to pick with this company. So, okay, we know that they're evil, but check this out. This article talks about, for over a decade, Monsanto has been engaged in building and maintaining hit lists of journalists, lawmakers, and regulators to be taken out if they oppose the evil agenda of GMOs and toxic glyphosate weed killer chemicals that now inundate the world's food supply. Any influential person who opposed the Monsanto agenda was subjected to one or more of the following: attempted bribery, death threats and intimidation, character assassination through well-funded negative PR campaigns, defamation via coordinated Wikipedia attacks run by Monsanto operatives, career destruction such as getting scientists blacklists from science journals, being doxxed, having their home address publicized, and their families and coworkers threatened. In other words, Monsanto has been running a Black Ops division for over 10 years, spending perhaps $100 million or more on efforts to silence, destroy, or even assassinate anyone who interfered with the agricultural giant's market dominance. Now, the criminal mafia activity in Monsanto has been carried out for years. It's finally being exposed as law enforcement closes in on the crimes of this evil agricultural giant, now owned by Bayer, a corporation that appears to be making an effort to clean house and end the Monsanto crimes that targeted journalists, lawmakers, and regulators with intimidation and bribery campaigns. Keep in mind that Bayer is actually the company that in Nazi Germany, they're the ones that made the gas to kill people in concentration camps. I think it's out called Zyklon B gas, I think. So basically, Bayer had recently bought out Monsanto, and so apparently they've come across this little miniature deep state within Monsanto, and they are trying to keep their nose clean. This is rather frightening. Okay, a company is engaged in this sort of thing. Now, keep in mind that this article is written by Mike Adams, and he himself has been threatened by Monsanto for quite a while. So this really hits home with him. The second major news article, I think, in May was this here: Merck created hit list to destroy, neutralize, or discredit dissenting doctors. Okay, so Merck is the company responsible for vaccines. Okay, they're probably like the largest vaccine manufacturer in the world. Okay, so this article talks about Merck made a hit list of doctors who criticized Vioxx. According to testimony in a Vioxx class action case in Australia, the list emailed between Merck employees contained doctors' names with the labels neutralize, neutralized, or discredit next to them. Wow, well, that is interesting. And get this, it says the allegations come on the heels of revelations that Merck created a fake medical journal, the Australasian Journal of Bone and Joint Medicine, in which to publish studies about Vioxx, had pop songs commissioned about Vioxx to inspire its staff, and paid ghostwriters to draft articles about the drug. Bunch of losers. Oh my gosh. Alright, now going into June. A women's viral petition calls for high heels not be required at work in Japan. Well, that's great. Now, I don't like, you see in the picture here, you see the girl's wearing tennis shoes. Yeah, I don't know. If she's on her feet all day, then, go for it. But high heels are just so disgusting. My wife has worn high heels like maybe once in her life, and that was in our wedding reception. I just do not think high heels are sexy. I think it's, in a way, it's kind of very similar to like the bound feet, in traditional Chinese culture. Really, really weird crap. All right, now check this out. This is on Breitbart. Poll: Young Americans LGBTQP. I like to put the P in there for pedophilia. The acceptance plunges 63% to 45% in 2 years. Well, now, what could this possibly be about? A survey produced by the Harris Poll in partnership with Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, or GLAAD. That's one of the whole gay mafia groups that will go after anybody who, even gays who don't toe the line. Finds young Americans' comfort with LGBTQP individuals has plunged from 63% in 2016 to 45% in 2018. And of course they're trying to make this all Trump's fault, even though he was the one who was waving the rainbow flag at the GOP convention and everything. No, actually it's because people are getting kind of grossed out. I mean, we give them an inch and they take a mile. You see what is going on with, at first they said, oh, well, we just want equal rights, and oh, we just want marriage. And now it's gone to, we want your kids. We want to indoctrinate your kids. And when you see all of the disgusting drag queen story hour or any of those pride parades where you'd be stupid to take your child there with all the naked men dancing around on paper mache phalluses and everything. It is just, it's debauchery, it's depravity, it's disgusting, and people, the more you throw it in people's faces, they're going to say, no, I'm not comfortable with this. It's gross. Sorry, it's gross. You know, what you do in your own free time, in your own privacy is one thing, but just keep it out of our face, please. That is tolerance, okay? Tolerance is, you know what, you do your thing, just leave me alone about it. That is what tolerance is. They don't want tolerance, they want full-blown acceptance, and they want to be able to indoctrinate your children. And especially this whole thing about, you know, trying to convince little kids that boys can become girls and vice versa, and like little girls come home crying from school because they're afraid they're going to wake up one morning and they're going to be a boy. It's disgusting. Oh boy. Yeah, so this is June. Breaking 911 reported New York Police Department chief kills himself just days before retirement. Deputy Chief Stephen Silks was pronounced dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound Wednesday evening. Now this is what kind of set off a whole slew of, I don't know if this was the first one, I can't remember, whole bunch of NYPD officers who supposedly killed themselves or they died under very, very suspicious circumstances. Remember, it was the NYPD that forced FBI Director Comey to reopen the investigation into Hillary's emails with the horrors that they found on Weiner's laptop. They found a whole bunch of Hillary's emails and other stuff that was nightmare-inducing. So, I don't know if perhaps, maybe they're not dead, maybe they've gone into witness relocation. I have no idea. But this became quite a phenomenon starting in June. And last, for June, okay, this is going to be the last thing that I cover in this video. This is on Big League Politics. Boom! Keith Raniere found guilty on all charges, including sex trafficking from Mexico. Now, Keith Raniere was the head of the NXIVM sex cult that was run out of Hollywood. And you might say, well, wait, why is there a picture of Hillary coughing up a lung here, as she always does? Well, listen to this. Keith Raniere has been found guilty on all on all counts against him, including sex trafficking from Mexico. Now, this is Allison Mack, who was she was an actress from that Smallville TV show, that Superman TV show. She was caught trafficking kids. And of course, you know, your Democrat friends are going to try to tell you that child sex trafficking doesn't exist, because that's what the mainstream media tells them to believe. But she was caught, and she sang like a bird, as Q put it. So, Raniere violated young illegal immigrants, girls from Mexico, and imprisoned them on threat of deportation by the cult. So this goes into the whole thing about the wall. It's not just about drug trafficking or just people wanting to, you know, become illegal immigrants. A whole lot of it is about human trafficking. Human experiments and Satanism-inspired rituals took place at the cult, according to the mountains of evidence exposed by this historic trial of the new century. Well now, the defendant tapped into a never-ending flow of women and money, the prosecution said of Raniere Monday, calling him a crime boss with no limits and no checks on his power. Evidence shows how the NXIVM sex cult illegally raised money for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. Okay, now this is how you get back to, you know, this is the reason why you see Hillary in the picture here. He was a big-time donor to Hillary's campaign. Why is it, like with Harvey Weinstein, with Jeffrey Epstein, and with this Keith Raniere, how is it that all of these sexual deviants are all surrounded. They're all surrounding Hillary Clinton and her husband. Gee, why is that? And why is it that all these people are being caught for human trafficking and child sex trafficking? Could it be because the Clinton Foundation was a big sham? I mean, look at Laura Silsby and how she was caught trafficking kids out of Haiti when the earthquake hit. So, anyhow, it counted Clinton friend. This is the NXIVM sex cult. It counted Clinton friend Richard Mays and Kirsten Gillibrand's stepmother as active members of the cult, and Gillibrand's father as an employee, and how the cult's ally, quote ally, Chuck Schumer, Chuck Schumer, was compromised by virtue of the cult possessing his financial records. Rainier made child porn featuring Mexican child sex slave. FBI Special Agent Megan Reese presented more than 12 images of child pornography allegedly produced by NXIVM sex cult leader Keith Rainier in Rainier's trial Thursday at Brooklyn Federal Court. Rainier stands accused of sex trafficking during his tenure atop the elite upstate New York sex cult, where he was branding female sex slaves, and like I'm talking like branding them like cattle, like with a hot iron, searing the NXIVM stamp into their flesh. It's disgusting. NXIVM imported illegal immigrants and gave them fake IDs to break immigration law. Okay. So it just goes on and on. Rainier wanted human branding rituals to be satanic, like human sacrifice. NXIVM sex cult leaders Keith Rainier, now on trial in Brooklyn for sex trafficking and racketeering, aimed for his branding of female sex slaves to be like a sacrifice, referring to the practice of human sacrifice, which is practiced in satanic rituals. Do you think the person who is being branded should be held to the table almost like a sacrifice? Rainier said to his one-time co-conspirator Allison Mack in a 2017 conversation that was captured on audio tape. That's a feeling of submission. It probably should be more. It should be a more vulnerable position, laying on the back, legs spread straight, held to the table, hands above the head, probably held almost like sacrificial. NXIVM had the financial records of ally Chuck Schumer and Hillary Clinton's emails. Oh really? Oh my. Oh gee. Here we go. Here we go. Where is it? Okay, let me back up here. The former NXIVM insider Kirsten Keefe says that Seagram's heiress Claire W. Bronfman, who oversees NXIVM's operations, ordered the financial probes at the direction of Rainier, 55. The 6 judges whose financial records Keefe alleges were analyzed have all presided over cases involving NXIVM or its perceived adversaries and critics, etc., etc. Now, Clara Bronfman, an heiress of the Seagram Wine Company, the business empire, allegedly implanted a key logger virus on the computer of her late father, Edgar M. Bronfman Sr., so officials with the NXIVM Corporation could secretly monitor his emails, including his exchanges with world leaders and Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, according to court records. So this was quite a huge uncovering, and of course the mainstream media was completely silent in it because they had no way of trying to tie Trump to this at all, because this only made Hillary look bad. And it's quite obvious to anybody with a brain whose side that the mainstream corporate media is on. So, very, very interesting. And with that, I'm going to end this video. This has gone on quite long enough. And this was, it seemed to be the biggest thing of the year until the next month when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, and that was in July. But I'm going to start doing that in a second video, so that'll be part 2 of 2019 Stuff and Things. And if you're still watching after all of this, I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me rant, and look forward to the next video. Bye.